Chief Brosna hands and master teacher, mentor, colleague, and dear, dear friend. Her gifts to education will go on without end. She's ready to take on the world with vigor and vim. We'll send her on to new adventures with her darling husband Tim.
Welcome to our training video on how to set up a classroom that motivates students to want to learn. Thank you for being interested in teaching children to be excited to learn. We are Tim and Gail Brosnahan. We live in Salt Lake City, Utah. We are the parents of 10 children. I have had a valid Utah teaching license since I was 21 years old, taking classes in education at Brigham Young University, University of California at Northridge, and the University of Utah for the last 57 years. There are 5 training videos that we are offering. The first one is on teaching first-time readers. The second one is on teaching a child to read who reads below grade level. The third one is on how to improve a child's reading fluency and comprehension. The fourth one is on teaching a child to write. This one is on setting up a classroom that motivates children to want to learn.
Since retiring from my profession, I am a substitute in our local high schools, primarily in German and mathematics. I also have been tutoring children in reading with Gail since her retirement as an elementary school teacher. We belong to My Hometown Initiative, a local organization that we are very proud of. They serve our community with organized service days and a community resource center that offers free classes in ESL, English lessons, finance, reading, and piano lessons. Our responsibility is to teach adults how to teach children to read.
Before we begin this presentation, I want to share a philosophy of education that I feel, and so does all the scientific research, confirm. Children are more motivated to learn if they are interested in what is being taught. Children are more motivated to learn if they have success in what they are being taught. Children are more motivated to learn if they understand how what they are learning benefits them. I have learned throughout my career these facts about children. Every child wants to be successful. Every child wants to be loved and belong. Every child wants their capacity to be stretched. Every child wants a motivating environment in which to learn. My philosophy motivates me to provide a classroom that facilitates every child to be successful.
Setting up a classroom to motivate students to want to learn. Accompanying this PowerPoint presentation is a pamphlet and printable materials and other training videos that are available to you at no cost by going to our website, teachingstrategiesthatwork.com. Establishing classroom rules and how they are enforced. Empowering students produced good behavior. Classroom rules. Every child submits 2 critical rules on an index card. When students create the rules, they are more motivated to obey the rules. The teacher writes all submitted rules on the chalk or whiteboard for consideration. Students unanimously vote on the 4 or 5 classroom rules which are written and displayed on a poster.
Define consequences. A chart to enforce the classroom rules. Labeled C for conference. No one wants to go to conference. Labeled W for warning. Everyone gets one chance to improve an incorrect behavior. Labeled R for restroom. Everyone can put on a lanyard, one student at a time, and leave to use the restroom by putting their name on R. The bottom of the sign holds all the names of the students on wooden clothespins. See the consequences for going to conference on the next slide. Consequences for going to conference. The student fills out a paper. What did you do? Why did you do that? Who was involved? Who was affected by your actions? What should you have done? Who needs an apology? What needs to be done for restitution? What will you do in the future? A conference was held with the student, the parents, and the principal. The student read the paper to the teacher, parents, and principal. The student read the apology letter or letters. The student gave the apology letter or letters to those that were affected. From that moment on, the offense was never mentioned again. No one wants to go to conference. The word is spread from one student to the next. In all my years of teaching, I had only 2 students go to conference.
Create a safe zone. Children felt safe to ask questions. If the class or the teacher does not know the answer to a student's question, the question was written and remained on the chalk or whiteboard until the question was answered. Children were safe when they answered a question, whether they were right or wrong. No criticism or rude remarks were ever allowed. Students were rewarded for politely letting the teacher know if the teacher made a mistake.
Teach the students how to use a 4-inch whisper when they want to talk to someone. By the time the rain stick stops sounding, there must be complete silence. I used a rain stick when I wanted to bring down the volume of talking in the classroom. Provide instructions. Change subjects. By modeling the desired behavior and being consistent, I never had to raise my voice to get the students' attention. The classroom should sound like a hum. The chart allows for changes in the schedule from day to day. This chart provided the students to know how much time they had for each learning activity throughout the day.
Character education, theme, and program. A theme was presented at the beginning of the year, and a program that promoted good behavior qualities was the focus for the year.
Help students become good readers. I made reusable book bags that fit on the students' chairs. This is where their books were placed, along with a pocket with a 3x5-inch index card was used to track their reading levels. Develop a systematic way to track and move students from one level to the next level of reading. Students need to read on a non-frustration level to make good progress in their fluency and comprehension reading ability.
Useful classroom tools to manage students' needs. When a student needed to spell a word correctly, they used the Classroom Dictionary. Classroom Dictionary. This helped students become responsible for spelling words correctly. If the needed word was not on the card, the student asked an adult to write the word. The word is written only once during the school year. Signs to notify the teacher that a student needs help. Quick question. A sign posted on the chalk or whiteboard where the students wrote their names and waited for the teacher to respond to their need. Conference. A sign posted on the chalk or whiteboard where the students wrote their names and waited for the teacher to respond to their need. Having the students signal they needed help in this manner helped meet everyone's need in an organized way. These signs were particularly helpful when students wanted to publish their monthly writing assignment. Established an incentive program. Students earned classroom money to buy something from the classroom store. Students earned a paycheck each week for quality work. A valued happy face stamp is placed on students' work. Student learns how to fill out a blank check register and write out a check. The teacher can decide if individual students are doing quality work according to their abilities. Prices of items are set by the teacher in accordance with how much classroom money is available to the students. This is a valued life skill and provides ample opportunity for students to use their math skills. In the classroom store, only school supplies were sold. A student chose to go to the classroom store during center time. This was a mail order business. The students turned in a filled-out check with their orders, and the items were placed on their desk. Holiday store. A table of 6 students shopped one day a week. Paychecks doubled during the holiday month. Holiday store. Gifts were wrapped with classroom-made paper and signed cards. Parents of the students shared their unique holiday traditions, including Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and other traditions in different countries. During the month of December is a wonderful time to learn about the different family traditions and develop an appreciation for each other.
The start of each day. Students came into the classroom each morning, knowing exactly what was expected of them. Read with a focus. Students came into the classroom knowing what to do. They filled out a form that corresponded to the focus of their nightly reading assignment. Reading to a focus increases comprehension. Summarized, related to a personal experience, related to another book, or asked a question and predicted the answer. These strategies were taught during small group reading instructions. Created learning centers so students could make choices in what they were interested in learning to increase students' motivation to learn. When students were motivated, it was amazing how fast they accomplished their morning work. I did not care what students were reading and writing about. I cared that they were enthusiastically reading and writing. Model appropriate behavior. Before opening a center for students to choose, the students were told and shown how to access the supplies for the center and what behavior they should exhibit while participating in that center work. I modeled first, and then chose a student to model the appropriate behavior. This was the time that the activity was explained, so the students knew what was to be accomplished at each center. I introduced each center separately and on separate days. Listening Center. After morning work was completed, students chose from a variety of choices during center work. All center work consisted of reading and writing. Center work. Students select what they wanted to learn after morning work was completed. Student reporter. The school news was posted outside the classroom. Students wore a lanyard, filled out a form, and used a camera to gather and report the news. Students chose to read a book with a whisper phone and wrote a book report to turn into the teacher or share it with the class. Students read and wrote a book report. More choices for center work time. You've got mail. Parents provided addresses of relatives that lived outside Utah for students to correspond with during center time. Open, addressed envelopes were sent home for parents' approval and stamped for mailing. The return address was the school's address. The students acquired pen pals. Travel with a passport. Students used a classroom encyclopedia to travel to a country and reported what they learned. Students have their passports stamped to record where they traveled. Evaluate an author's writing. A student read and filled out a form that helped the author know what to improve on when writing the next month's writing assignment. The evaluator and the author learned about good writing skills from this experience. Never-ending story. Students chose to write whatever they wanted to write. No one read the content unless the students published the content for the monthly writing assignment. Some students use this as a diary. Travel in space. A computer program allowed students to travel to various planets and write about what they learned. Choice increases motivation. I provided everything needed for this project: a chosen research paper and presentation. A student chose a topic during center time and declared how they wanted to present the research to the class.
Virtual learning experiences. Real-life learning experiences made learning become more realistic and relevant. The students wrote to a different genre each month. These writings went through all the steps: storyboarding, rough draft, editing, and publishing. A treasured gift. When we studied poetry, the students created a poem to honor their mothers for Mother's Day. The artwork was created with the students' fingerprints. Gail purchased inexpensive frames for the gift that was wrapped in class. Art used to enhance literacy. All published literary work was produced with a student-designed cover. Many of the published works were embellished with an art component. Each section of the published poetry book was decorated with fingerprint art. Author's Tea. Once a month, we scheduled a time for students to share their stories or research papers they wrote. A microphone was used to enhance the students' voices. Treats were provided. Students created and made their inventions for the school's science fair. Students were required to write up descriptions of their inventions, how the invention worked, and what the invention was to accomplish. Field trips. Field trips gave real-life experiences. Examples: Young Electric Sign Company, the City-County Building, Living Traditions, This Is the Place Heritage Park, Museum of Natural History, School District Events, Clark Planetarium, Wetlands Reserve, and Hogle Zoo. Stamp Factory. Studied economic terms, opportunity costs, interest, net profit, gross and startup money. Visited a factory at Young Electric Sign Company. Set up a classroom factory. Executives created a contract and supervised quality. Designers created advertisements and brochures. Factory workers put together the sanded blocks with rubber stamp designs. Banker. Principal provided pretend startup money and was paid interest. Sold stamps to students within the school for 1 week. Supplies: wood, sandpaper, poster boards, rubber adhesive die cuts, plastic bags, and labels. Average profit, $350. Bought books for a homeless shelter as a service project and celebrated with a class pizza party. Parents supplied the wood blocks, sandpaper, plastic bags, and labels.
Rosenhan Browser. Students are motivated to write with the hope of extending readership on the web. Links on the website. Kid to Kid, share a book. Kid to Kid, share a hero. Kid to Kid, share the news. Parents must sign a web release form. Parents encourage students to write for the classroom web page. Parents read the web page frequently. Parents complimented students' work. Rules to follow. Names are never used with pictures. Only first names are used. No addresses or telephone numbers are used. Prepare students for taking a test. The day of a test, I made sure everyone drank water and used the restroom. Practice comprehension strategies with class. When taking a multiple-choice test, eliminate the wrong answer. Choose the 2 possible answers and go with your first response. Taught listening skills by placing a blank paper in front of the students. Gave directions for what the students should write or do with the paper. Number of directions increased over time. Students did what was asked after the teacher said go. UTIP's practice tests were taken and scores recorded February through April. Tests were available on Teacher's eDesk. Tests and scores were emailed to the teacher. Test results were immediately available for students' learning and teachers' information. I could not have accomplished what I wanted to accomplish without these devoted volunteers that worked with the students on a regular weekly schedule. The value of a classroom clerical aid. A school district would provide meaningful help to their teachers by providing a clerical aid for each teacher. This wonderful clerical aid came into my classroom Monday through Thursday for 1 hour and graded papers, entered the scores into the computer grades program, and gave me the results along with an analysis of tests to let me know immediately who needed more instruction on a specific subject. On Fridays, she spent 2 hours in my classroom, returning all classroom work and homework to the students and preparing paychecks for each child. Prepare for success. Most materials needed for instruction for the next year's class were prepared toward the end of the previous year. Homework files were prepared in advance. This preparation freed time for focusing on students, gave direction for instruction, and accelerated the content pace. In the spring, volunteers helped me prepare for the next year's class.
Results. Students became self-motivated learners. Students made 2 or more years of growth in reading. Students became capable writers, many well beyond their years. Test scores reflected their academic growth. Setting up a classroom to motivate students to want to learn. Thank you for joining us on this training video and remembering to go to our website, teachingstrategiesthatwork.com, for links to our pamphlets, computerized printable materials, and other training videos on setting up a classroom to motivate students to want to learn.